on a magical island called Angel. He was born with a super fast speed, and his name is Sonic. The bad guys were hoping for his super strength, so he had an isolated childhood. He lived with his nanny, Long, and Long asked him what was going on at this speed on the island so that no one would see him. "One of the bad guys sees you." Sonic told her, "Don't worry, I won't. Someone saw me laughing." They arrive at his house and hit him with arrows. Long takes Sonic and runs away with it, but she gets hit by an arrow, so she realizes that she won't be able to run away any longer. She gives him a bag of magic rings and tells him that these rings can let you travel anywhere you want. She opens a portal to the planet Earth for him, and as she walks, Sonic is forced to listen to her words. She stops, sacrificing herself for Sonic, and Sonic spends many years on Earth alone. He used to spend his time spying on humans, and among the people he was spying on was Officer Tom Tom. He was sensitive. He was very bored because there was no crime in his city, and he wanted to go to another city there. Grime had more time to work, while Sonic kept running in front of him, and Pizzo did not understand what was running in front of him at such speed. And Sonic then grabbed a turtle and ran with it so fast that the turtle was shocked and returned to the bakery. He spends his time alone, exploiting his speed, playing ping pong with himself, looking at the bag of rings and the map he took from the lounge, and at night he spies on the officer Tom and his wife Maddie while they are watching a movie, and he prefers to sit and watch with them, and then he walks because he feels lonely, and the next morning he watches a group. One of the children was playing baseball, and she really liked this game and was very happy. When he sees the players celebrating together, Sonic comes to the field at night and plays baseball alone. He uses his super speed and plays alone. He used to throw the ball to himself, play, and smoke. He also plays with other people, and he also celebrates with the audience. But then he realizes his loneliness and becomes very upset and keeps running around the stadium at a crazy speed. And because of this speed, a magnetic field was generated and cut off the electricity to the entire city of Green Hills. The army leaders gathered to talk about the reason for the electricity cut, but none of them understood the reason for the electricity cut. The army commander understood that the issue was related to technology, so he enlisted the help of a mad scientist named Robotnik, and army officials rejected the decision. They say to him, "This is a crazy and deranged person." The leader told them, "But he is a very smart scientist and has many certificates, and we have no other solution, and then the world will arrive with a Nick robot and a big apple." Army Colonel Ben tells him that from now on, "I am in charge here," and he takes out his drones and orders a complete survey of the forest. In fact, the drones are afraid of the forest, and they have no traces of two legs, Sonic and a robot. Nick analyzes the traces of the two legs and knows that these are not the legs of an animal, and he says that these are the legs of an animal that is not from the ground. He sends army soldiers into the forest with the planes and Sonic when he sees them. They are looking for him. He is very worried, and he realizes that the Earth is no longer safe. So he goes to the informant to find out what he needs and uses one of the rings that he has and goes to another planet. But he finds that the soldiers are approaching him, so he decides to go to a place. Second, he arrives at Officer Tom's garage because he believes that there is more safety here, but he takes a shower in the place instead of him. Officer Tom hears him and keeps saying that an animal entered the garage. So he takes the anesthesia gun and goes to the garage. And Sonic was still going to open the gate to the world again, but Tom is afraid for him. Sonic runs in front of him and they hit him with the anesthesia gun. And Sonic, before he faints, sees the name of the state of San Francisco. On Tom's t-shirt, he forcefully opens a gate to San Francisco. And what's worse is that his bag of rings falls there. And Tom takes Sonic and puts him in a cage. And they reconcile with me, and Fusen understands that he needs a safe place. And he says to him, "I was spying on you and your wife a lot." Then they find that a Robotnik car arrived at their house, and Robotnik was walking behind the tracks of two Sonic men. Sonic gets afraid and asks Tom for help, and Sonic makes it difficult for Tom, but he agrees to help him and hides on the next floor. He is upstairs and asks him to be quiet, and Nick Robot arrives at Tom's house and lies to him and tells him that I am from the electricity company. I want to inspect your house and make sure that your electricity is working well, but Tom refuses to enter it and tells him that the electricity meter is outside the house, so why do you want to inspect the house itself? Robotnik does not know how to answer him, but he is best. He let the drones fly and let them be afraid to search Tom's house. Sonic was afraid that the drones' rays would come on him, so he hid in the middle of the ball as if it were a ball like them, but he realizes that this is a bad idea and goes out of his place to take a shower in the house, and a Nick Robot outside hears his shower and then enters the house. Good luck, but I can't find anything other than a pet at home. But Robotnik keeps doubting you and Bella a hair from Sonic's head, and he threatens Tom with his drone weapons and tells him to talk and tell me where he is, or I will kill kill you. Son is afraid for Tom and comes out. The drone was going to kill Sonic and Tom, but they hide from him, and then Sonic and Tom are able to get rid of him. The drone and they escaped from Robotnik and got into the car and moved. While they were on the track, Sonic told him, I need to return my rings because through them I can move from any world to the next. But she is now on the roof of a building in San Francisco. I want you to take me there, but Tom tells him, I saved you as you asked me to do before, and I got into trouble because of you, so I can't help you. The next time you go to San Francisco alone, Sonic gets annoyed with him and gets out of the car and goes to meet him far away. But he comes back again and tells him, I don't know how to go there alone. So Tom is forced to ride him to reach him, and at night they reach a place for Tom's sake. He wants to talk on the phone, and Sonic passes by, not moving from his place, and then he goes to the phone booth. But as usual, Sonic does not hear what is being said and sees a party being held in the place. So he decides to go and watch, while Tom, his colleague, is in the name of the police, and they ask about the situation in the city. So the policeman tells him a lot of people have asked about you, and they suspect that you are a terrorist and that you have bombs, weapons, and a robot to take from it. He calls Tom on the phone and says to him, there is no one who knows how to challenge me, and I have never lost a war against anyone, and I promise you that I will find you. Tom is locked in the silencer, and Bella finds that Sonic is not in the car and understands that he has entered. When he was afraid of this place, he found him sitting in disguise and told him that we should go immediately, but Sonic asked him to sit down for a while because there were many things that I wanted to do on the floor before I walked. So Tom agreed and told him that you only have 1 hour, and they really had a good time in the place, dancing and playing. When they are sitting drinking something, someone comes out and bullies him in the form of Sonic because he was thinking about a young family, and Sonic did not like the situation and kept provoking him. The man hit Tom and collided with the person in the bar, and all the people in the place started hitting each other and fighting. And Sonic was running so crazy fast that he could see the people in front of him moving slowly. And Pink Tom was one of the people who, they would hit them, and Tom would get completely away from the lizard, and then he would sit harassing people and set traps for them. And when they moved, he would fall in and stumble in the fire. When he found all the people, he would fall to the ground, and he and Sonic would walk quickly, running away from the people and then going to the hotel just to stay the night. Tom finds out on the news that he is still wanted by justice and has become, in the eyes of the state, a terrorist again in the morning. Robotnik knows that Sonic and Tom were in that bar, and he stops at a hotel. After a while, his movement starts to go out and looks for them. Indeed, at the same time, Sonic and Tom were on the road in a robot. Nick gets a tank out on the road behind them, and it manages to reach Tom's car, and a spear falls on the car, and Sonic gets out of the car and hits the side of the tank and flips over while he stands up and celebrates and comes back riding with Tom. But Robotnik takes out a small car and flies out of the tank, and small bombs fall on them. But Sonic, he runs, takes bombs, and grabs this car, but not the car. It is completely destroyed, and a motorcycle comes out of it, and Tom is able to get rid of the motorcycle, and it is destroyed. But a small machine comes out of it, and the roof of the car is completely torn apart, and Sonic grabs this machine and takes it apart. But it turns out that there is a bomb inside it, so they stand in the forest. Because Sonic got rid of the bomb, but it was stuck in Sonic's hand, and Sonic was able to get rid of it, but he did not manage to escape in time, and it exploded next to him, and Sonic fainted, and Tom was very worried about him. And they went with him to his wife, Maddie, because she was working as a battery doctor, and he was wrapped in a blanket for him. No one sees him, but Rich's sister, Maddie, does not accept Tom's interference because he is still wanted for arrest, and the dog keeps barking at Sonic and pulling the cover off of him, and Sonic shows fresh, and she faints when she sees him. While Robotnik, with his hair coming out of Sonic's head, conducts an experiment on her, studies her strength, and writes that her strength is unlimited. Phoebe decided to add the strength of this hair to his new motherboard so that she would be as fast as Sonic. We return to Tom and Maddie. She is telling her husband, I have never met a creature like this before, so I don't know. Ayla and Jojo, Maddie's sister, notice that Sonic's boot is cut off. Maddie comes up with a solution and sniffs at Sonic. Something smells strong, and Sonic actually gets louder and keeps running around the apartment, and Maddie is different. She talks to Tom alone and asks him for an explanation about this creature, and Tom understands everything and tells her that I promised him that I would take him to San Francisco, and Maddie calms down and agrees. And Jojo gives Sonic a new pair of boots, and Sonic is very happy about it because it is the first gift he has received in his life, And then they take Sonic to San Francisco, and he arrives at the building whose rings fell on the roof. And Tom puts Sonic in the bag and goes into the building and tells the employee that he is a police officer and tells her that there is a problem on the roof of the building and I need to go upstairs immediately. The trick is for the employee, and they go to the roof and Sonic is happening on the bag, but he did not want to walk because he loved Tom very much and told him that these days were from the best days of my life, and he was thankful that he lost his life. They believed that the mission was completed successfully and Sonic threw the ring, but suddenly drones appear around him and Dr. Robotnik appears with a drone. The new one shoots the planes in order to hit them with fire, and Sonic went to throw Tom and Maddie off the building in order to save them. When the missiles were launched, Sonic used his super speed and pushed the missiles away from his path. He was going to save Maddie, but Robotnik's plane became as fast as him, and he hit Sonic with a missile and Sonic. He loses consciousness for a moment, then uses a ring he owns and opens a portal for Tom and Maddie to the city of Green Hills. And Sonic does not know how to control his speed and stays on the ground. And the robot Nick gives him advice from me: do not run, because you will be working in vain. And Sonic does not care about what he says, and he picks up his rings and goes off running. The streets of the city and Nick's robot are chasing him, and they are hitting them with missiles. But Sonic started all his attacks and was going crazy, and he doesn't understand how Robotnik knows how to chase him like this and uses rings and goes to another country. But Robotnik runs after him and opens a second gate at the pyramids, and Robotnik is also behind him and trying to catch him while he is. The Sphinx is destroyed in the railway. They hit him with a missile while he was entering a second gate, and he reached the city of Green Hills while he was unconscious. Robotnik was happy that he was about to defeat him because he wanted to do many tests on him. Tom took the bag of rings from the ground and went out after Robotnik, and they were beaten and the two were fighting. Beating and Nick's robot knows how to knock him down, and they ask why you are risking your life because of this strange creature. Tom told him that this strange creature has more human qualities than you, and he is my friend, and I will continue to defend him. Suddenly Sonic wakes up and powerful electric waves emerge from him, and Tom and Maddie widen the path for him, and Sonic attacks a plane. Robotnik waves and says, I won't run away again. I will stand up and defend myself. My friends and robot Nick Biff opened a large number of missiles at him, but Sonic understood all of them and hit his plane several times and told him, I will not leave the Earth. You are the one who will. And Tom is going to open a portal to another world. And Sonic runs quickly, befriends him, and takes him to the gate. And then Tom and Sonic greet each other. And Sonic was extremely happy because he has a friend, and things return to normal. Manny is in the city, and Tom and Maddie are preparing for their new home. And an army commander comes to Tom, and they learn that all that is wrong with him is sitting. Completely. And I give him a reward in exchange for him not responding to the battle that happened no one. As if Dr. Robotnik and Sonic did not exist in the first place. And Tom and Maddie agree and do not bring him a biography at all. But in reality, Sonic continues to live with Tom and Maddie, and they created his own room for Sonic, which Sonic is very happy with and is thankful for. Their presence in his life. As for the robot Nick, he had arrived on a second planet called the Mushroom Planet, and this is a planet that does not have any human beings or creatures. But Robotnik still had his Sonic hair and had passed 243 days, and he was still on the Mushroom Planet. But during this period, he was able to create a god. Using Sonic's hair, this machine is supposed to return to planet Earth, but its plan is not completed as planned, and a large energy explosion occurs and a robot nicks. He faints, and God opens a portal to another pane, and strange-looking soldiers emerge from it. They were approaching Nick's robot, but Nick's robot suddenly wakes up and finds the traps he was setting and destroys them. Everyone, and then he runs towards the gate, but suddenly a creature resembling Sonic comes out of it, and his name is Knuckles. He sees Sonic's hair with Robotnik, and they ask, where did you get this hair from? Robotnik tells him that I got it from a blue creature on the planet Earth, and I can get you to it easily, and then we will move to Seattle. We see the police chasing thieves who stole the bank car. In Sonic, he saw the chase and decided to intervene. He went to the bank car and beat the drivers while taking their places. He controlled the car and maneuvered with it in order to stop the thief who was in the car's bag. It was because of what he had done that the money flew out of the car, and he dismantled it when he saw that there were bombs. The car was about to explode. Fasoon was trying to stop the car, but the brakes were not working. So Egg flew and threw the bombs into the garbage bin so that no one would be harmed by the explosion. Then he noticed that the car would collide with the ice cream cart. So he grabbed a screwdriver and used his super speed to dismantle the car completely. In this way, he was able to avoid colliding with the ice cream cart and also help the police arrest him. After completing this mission, the thief returns to his home in the city of Green Hills and takes out the feather of Long, the owl that was raising him. He thinks about his days with her and feels very lonely and says, I will make you proud of me. And then he was going to sleep, but Maddie was worried about him and woke up that he had a fishing trip with Tom Fusen. He had to go on this trip, and while they were hunting, Sonic fell asleep from fatigue and fell into the water. And he quickly got him out because Sonic could not swim and told him, I entered your room. Yesterday night I didn't find you there, but she found you leaving a teddy bear that looked like you. And she knew you were gone. The state of Seattle, in order to fight crime, shows him the news and it is talking about what happened yesterday. And he tells him that it is not good for you to expose yourself in this way in front of people. You are revealing your identity, except that you are causing chaos. And you are like the money that flew out of the car, and you are also endangering people's lives. There is danger, and Sonic gets annoyed by his words because his dream is to become a superhero. So Tom tells him, you are still young, and you must wait until you grow up a little and become mature so that you can save the world from crime. At the end of the week, Tom and Maddie were traveling to Hawaii to attend the wedding of Rachel, Maddie's sister, and Badal. When they board the train, they ask Sonic to open a gate for them to take them to Hawaii, and then they greet each other with Sonic in my hand. Tom has a ring that will help him return to Green Hills, so Sonic will stay at home for 48 hours alone and decide to do everything he used to do at home. On the other side of the city, a portal opens, and a creature resembling Sonic emerges from it. His name is Tails, and he had a device that could identify her where Sonic was, and she used it and flew to Sonic's place. At night, Sonic was sitting watching the TV, and suddenly the light went out, and he heard a scary voice coming from outside the house. He approached the door and saw the door handle being destroyed, the door opening, and Robotnik and Sonic appearing and saying, I don't know how you came back, but you made a big mistake by coming here and asking to hit him and run at him. But Knuckles appears and hits Sonic and flies, then destroys the house with it, and Sonic runs at him very quickly. But Knuckles is able to stop him with his hands and grabs him and says to him, I am here to do to you what my ancestors failed to do and regain the power that was stolen from my tribe. And Sonic did not understand what he was talking about. And before Knuckles was going to hit Sonic, a police car appeared and knocked Knuckles down, and the one driving it was Tails. And she let Sonic ride with her and move quickly from them and Knuckles. He chases him, and Tails identifies herself to Sonic. And you tell him, it's an honor to meet you, Sonic. And you know that Knuckles is the most dangerous warrior in the galaxy, and he's coming to steal the Emerald Stone. And you, Sonic, are the only solution to reach the place of the stone. The two of them thought they had escaped from Knuckles, but Knuckles suddenly stays up and waits on. The car and Tail had an idea to get rid of him, and they flop over the fence and they were about to fall, but Tails grabs Sonic and flies him far away. And Knuckles gets out of the car before it explodes. And then Robotnik arrives, and they see two birds in the distance, and he calls his assistant, and he sends him his weapons, and actually sends him drones. After he developed more, he sold it to us. Knuckles tells him, you brought a certain power that was stolen from you. I want to know what power this is. Knuckles told him, this is something that does not concern you. We agreed. It was that I would escape from the planet Mushroom, and that you would take me to K, so we are at peace. Robotnik offers him a new alliance and tells him, I will help you. You find the power of the emeralds that you want, and you use them to eliminate Sonic, and Knuckles agrees to the alliance. As for Sonic, he takes Tails to the house of an officer named Wade. He pulls out a map that he had taken before from the lounge, and it had a symbol of the Emerald Stone. And suddenly the stone was drawn by a light, and a halo appeared in the shape of it. Long and Sonic were happy that he saw her again. And she told him, if you saw me now, I have a problem. And I hope you have reached Earth. I chose to take you to Earth for an important reason, because the Earth contains a large emerald stone, and through this stone, thoughts can turn into reality. And if they fall into the wrong hands, the entire universe will remain in. It is a great danger. I had the responsibility of protecting the emerald stone, and now that responsibility will remain on you. Walk behind the map, and you will find the stone. And then Long says goodbye to it and disappears. And Sonic tells him that he will not disappoint her. And he learns from the map that there is a compass in Siberia, and this compass will reach the stone. So Sonic opens it, a gate to Siberia, and when they arrive there, they are surprised that there is a severe storm in the weather. So they run to the nearest restaurant and sit down to ask for something to eat, and it sticks to it. I started watching you an hour ago when you created a magnetic field on the baseball field. And when I learned that a Carrier Z was coming to you, I decided that I had to come to warn you. And it is Sonic, 0 hours, 19 minutes, and 52 seconds. They are surprised when Tom responds to a message I sent to him, but it turns out that Tom is not talking to him. This is Robotnik's assistant. Stone asks Robotnik why we are working with a creature called Knuckles. Robotnik tells him, as soon as we find the emerald, I will take it from him because I expect that this is the emerald. He will turn on my greatest invention and continue talking to Sonic, and they will know how to follow his location. They know that he is in Siberia, so they decide to go and see him there. And then the food is brought to Sonic, Tails, and Tulse. She says, this is not the food I ordered, and she uses the device she has with her to translate, but the device translates incorrectly and says swear to the Twitter. And the witch gets upset and blames all the people around Sonic and Tails. And Sonic comes out and tells them that there is a misunderstanding, and people are removing the clothes they are wearing, and they know that they are not human. And he catches them trying to throw them into the fire. But Tails saves herself and Sonic, and tells the people a word in Russian that means she wants to. Be afraid of a challenge, people give up and leave. Even if Sonic and Tails, if they win the challenge, they will be able to walk away in peace. But if they lose, they will be burned. Sonic suggests to Tails that they run from here, but they discover that the map is with the whites. They are afraid to challenge this person in order to return the map, and the challenge was a head-to-head match against their opponent. It's so, they were away from me, but you are also strange because you are the fastest being in the galaxy. But I was a legend, so I thought that a person would be a strange thing, and I did not give me the important. The morning of the morning travel through the mountains and connect to the cave on the map and see a large gate in front of them, and it is to translate the words that are written, and that from many centuries some of the warriors of his tribe confirmed and integrate the 7 emerald stones so that they can make a strong weapon, and which is the great emerald stone. Even if any someone use this stone, he can defeat an army in his condition. But the birds tribe, they saw that no one deserves to possess the power of the Gila. They explained the stone from the warrior of his tribe, and they decided to protect it from the forces of evil and the stone. The symbols and stir these codes as what is written on the map give me the important. The morning of the morning travel through the mountains and connect to the cave on the map and see a large gate in front of them, and it is to translate the words that are written, and that from many centuries some of the warriors of his tribe confirmed and integrate the 7 emerald stones so that they can make a strong weapon, and which is the great emerald stone. Even if any someone use this stone, he can defeat an army in his condition. But the birds tribe, they saw that no one deserves to possess the power of the Gila. They explained the stone from the warrior of his tribe, and they decided to protect it from the forces of evil and the stone. The symbols and stir these codes as what is written on the map, and with the statue, it moves, and the compass that will reach the emerald stone comes out. But suddenly they will see the rotating fennels around them, and they are afraid of a robotic, a slices, and a Nick robot that strikes on a sonic missile, but a Sonic and Bermihai on Naclis, and the pilot. Its railway is out of the cave, and tells is flying that it is flying, and it will take it running, and pilots, the drone is chasing Sonic and trying to hit him with fire and a neon age. They have a snow and can get rid of them, but they were a keen, and they open the laser on it, and the Nonic will take advantage of its super speed, and the laser is prepared with the utmost ease. But Naclis connects and decreases Sonic, and Sonic delivered to him the calamity, and Neonk refuses and is a piston for him. So he would hit him, and Sonic was located from the hill, and the rings are all located from him. And says Naclis, you and you are all evil people, and you do not consume the emerald stone. And a skeleton tells him, I am lost. Something because of you, and telling him that his tribe was a time long, and all the tribe was preparing to hunt long in Abu Knuckles. Electric tells Rama on Knuckles, and Sonic Pyramid Compass for Tills to escape with him. But a robotic appears and steals the compass, and the Lucum of Tells with a missile and a Neonk, reassured on Tills, because Tills is important to him, more than the compass, and a teller likes that Sonic, the virtue of Tells for the compass, and believes that the iceberg. And the Nick robot runs up with Knuckles and Sonic Bishul Tiles and escaped with her. But he did not know that he was running with his maximum speed because he is Shul Tells. And on the other side, Rachel is Amadi's sister. Fatim will dye the ring quickly in my pyramid, but he does not get a need and carry with the groom's ring. February for the groom and ask him to replace him. Snow and Sonic tells Tom and Maddie that a robotic came back and tells him quickly all that happened and tried to wake up Tells, who lost consciousness. But suddenly in an electrical network you throw on him, and who threw it, the groom was, because he is already as a detective officer, and his companions are the army judge, who are hidden, and their goal is from. The beginning was the arrest of Sonic and Rochelle. What happened in San Francisco was formed a new war alone to protect the planet from aliens. He has a robotic, a second return to the land, Sonic, and Tell Sonic bag, whose heir was airports in Tills, Mahdi, and Rishul. They decide to cooperate Sawa and the Permissible to take Sonic and those with him, and love Suham in one of the Awad at the hotel, and Mahdi and Rachel connecting to the hotel in Redishel, aspiring a device from the Tells bag, and throws the officer who stands righteous and rises. That the device is this. It works an anti-attractive field, and flying the officer far away. And it dismantles that my material is afraid of Sonic, Tom, and Rochelle. She goes revenge on her groom, who laughed at her. But her groom, whose name is Randell, was a remorse for what he did with her, in Pedicirc. For the location of the Emerald Stone, by using the spoil, and its lighting and green symbols appear on the ground, and the light moves to the sea, and the green beam appears for the sky, and the explosion occurs in the water. and opens the path of a robotic for the location. And I want to do it, but it is not possible because it is. He was very tired in neon connecting to the water of the water, and he made himself a large card so that he is running on the water very quickly. But death was severe, and he was in a storm in the sea, and Sonic was afraid of the storm, and Biff had awareness, and when he excelled, he meets himself arrived at the temple in the stone, and at the same time he was a robotic and a skeleton escaping from the traps in the place, and used to use his strength in the process of rescue them, and then they fulfilled themselves and arrived for his death. And a Nick robot uses a small drone so that she can wipe the place and tell them in the direction. Correct. As for Sonic, it is preferable that the traps. And Atlas arrived at the stone and presented it on the one hand, and a Talon was free that he had embarrassed the Feast of Power with his ancestors. But a robotic was preparing for him to betray him and get rid of him. But he came to him when he met that Sonic entered them. And Sonic he said, if I want the stone, it remains necessary for the first to go beyond me. And they are the two. They drag some, and they are fighting, but the strokes of the cottage were strong. But Sonic does not surrender easily, and uses its super speed, and they were leaked with all its strength. But all this is not in Knuckles and completes the fighting, and at the same time Robotnik was going to steal the stone and the Neonk of Benabar. You know that the words of Sonic are correct, and say to the robot Nick, we did not agree on this. A robotic, he said to him, you are very naive so that you can trust in Knuckles. He takes the emerald stone and gets its strength and selects, and the temple starts to destroy, and Sonic was running away. But Bishop Knuckles dies, so he went down to the water and Bashil of the rock from it and transported. But the problem is that Sonic was not known. By reaching a visit to them, they are friends and extend his hands, and a clutch agreed, and peace be upon him. And on the second side of the officer, and the hand was inside one of the cafes in the city of Green Hills. But he discovered that Stone, the assistant, is a robotic, a journey of faces, and helps robotics in his job. The place is open to him, arresting him, and Burby in place. But Robotnik, he moved to the place with the utmost ease because he gained the mobility force from Emerald Stone and dismantling the capsules from the hands of Stone and I. And I am telling him the army in addition to his righteousness. And they are present so that they want to arrest Robotnik, the leader, Tom and Mitty. They connected and the robot Nick comes out in front of them while he was Fly, and the commander Boomer Robotnik is only delivered Robotnik Burie. How strong it is, and wrap the tank easily, and with the destruction, and then the plane and the Arab women. And because the emerald strength is the conversion of ideas for the truth of a Nick robot, that withdraws the pieces of the planes and tanks, and the base of them is a giant robot, and the robot Nick. The robot was the one who controls it, and all the people give charity from what they saw, and then in a second time, with his pilot connecting to it, Sonic, Tilles, and Atlas, and they did not have an idea that would fight the robot. On the robot to hit it, but the hit is not affected by it, and the robot Nick is hitting Sonic with a missile and a long veil and a tail. The robot is beaten with fire, but the robot is easily destroyed, and they decided to unite and kill Sawa and take advantage of the intelligence of Tells and the power of the Knuckles and its speed Sonic. But the robot, we descend on them with a waterfall of the drones and the three buds. The robot is chasing Sonic, Atlas, and Tell. They look at the robot without what he feels, and the robot is preferred to hit Sonic with a laser beam. And in the other, he can make it up and sign from the bridge. And at the time, this Tells is seized from the robot and forgets itself to copy a lot with a robotic. And we find his chances. It flies, strikes it, and flying it from the Emerald Stone, and thus a robotic robot loses its strength and the robot falls on the ground. A neonage excels, and the stone is seen in front of him. But a robotic robot occupies the robot with backup, and he presented the stone, and a Neonk was safer to reach the stone, and the robot was Hitus on Sonic. But Tom and Maddie, the appropriate time, and the robot is beating the land and flying their car, and the three of them will come out of Sulam and Sonic, trying to use the stone to defeat a robotic, but suddenly the stone opens and turns to the 7 of the original stones, and the robot makes a throat fire on them, and a color is asking them to walk so that they will be safe only. They say to him that we will not move from our place because we are a family, and the robot was Hydos with his leg. But the stones are determined for fear of Sonic and its color. It remains a transformation of the yellow color and the Bashil of the robot man, and remains a great power, and remains a fly, and destroys the head of the robot easily, and tells him a robotic, "You are the salvation of your affairs in," and the robot Nick, after discovering that salvation was lost, trying to sympathize with Sonic, and he says to him, "The Almighty opens a new page," but he comes out that he was dispersed to hit him with his robot. But Sonic, he stops his hands with complete ease, and then he will fly, choose the robot, perfectly destroy, and the robot Nick is bound by him and shake it for the second time, and Sonic, then he uses the emerald strength to get something that he was thinking about, which is the Hodadug sandwich, and the stones come out of his atmosphere and return to its natural form, and Tom and Matey, who embraced and looked at him. "Why did you give up the stones?" "I have to mature the first," like what Tom said, and he collects the 7 stones with each other and come back in the emerald stone from again and say, "I spent my whole life searching for the stone, but I do not know what to do now after what I got." And Sonic suggests that we form the 3 teams, and we protect the universe from any risks and protect the power of the emerald. And the Bev are the 3 on this. And it was transferred in the gunfire of his family and played with Bisbul Sawa, and then went to eat ice cream. And the soldiers were searching for a robotic, but he did not find it and disappeared completely and stopped and buried, while in the place of the leader. And we see that stone was hidden in the middle soldiers, and customer to say to the leader, "We have received a hidden file from 50 years in the database base of our belongings, and this file has coordinates for his facilities of secret research, and he was in the end of the Macreta with intense care and air." And Shadow, which we will see in the 3rd part, God willing, at some time it is not available, and you will meet it on the channel. And pay by.